Welcome to LA Off the Record. I'm Tammy Govea, and today in studio we have author Felecia Howell. She's got a new book out called Aged to Perfection: Tales from the Grown-Ass Women's Club. Felecia is dedicated to creating spaces for, what are the words she used? Women of a certain age? Spaces where they can live out loud, tell their truth, and do all sorts of fun things. So, if this sounds like your cup of tea or maybe even a martini, pull up a chair. I can't believe we're here. Those were literally my thoughts when we first connected about you coming in studio to talk about your amazing new book. And I say amazing, not loosely.
Thank you.
Aged to Perfection: Tales from the Grown-Ass Women's Club. I thought we've known each other for so long.
Yes. Yes.
During a really special chapter in our lives. Yeah, I'm getting like goosebumps. And here we are in studio, me doing my thing,
Yes.
you doing your thing. And it's just so special. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is a testament to us older girls still standing.
Amen.
Still standing.
We're more than standing. And I'm an image of the women dancing and the knees cracking and the hips cracking and the backs cracking. It was just, there's that.
There's that.
But it doesn't stop us from doing anything, right?
No, I mean, we're still calling our girlfriends and, in between talking about the latest doctor's appointment. Hey, well, let me tell you about this new wine I just found. So, yes.
When we were talking about, well, what are we going to talk about? I had mentioned that I knew you primarily from your work in film and television, right?
Yes.
Producing, directing, script continuity, supervisor, that whole angle of things. So when this happened, I mean, I knew writing was always a love of yours. I knew reading. You've been an avid reader from, like me, as a child, right? The world of the imagination. But for you to actually, this takes something. Felecia, you did this.
Thank you.
So congratulations. But I want to hear a little bit about, you've done so many things. You've done so many things. You're kind of the Renaissance woman, all very creative. How did you get here, though, from film and TV and the Peace Corps and, right?
Well, first, again, let me just say thank you for having me. It is truly an honor to sit in front of you because, as you said, you've been at it, doing your thing, creating for some time. So it is an honor to be here in your space, and thank you for having me. Well, yes, it has been a colorful journey, to say the least. And no matter what the world may say to you, you have to find your way, you find your path, find that joy, hold on to it, and recognize those around you that are there to hold you up and say, sis, keep going. I'm here, I'll help you. So it's, I've had a lot of help along the way. I've had a lot of people rooting for me. And yes, I had the great fortune to work in radio, television, film, theater. But all of that for me has always started with the story, the word. And a lot of the stories that come forth in this book, I've been holding for some time, and they have just been screaming to say, let me out, tell my story, let someone hear my voice, because we're still here, we're still standing. And so this has been a labor of love. It wasn't a hard write, other than just sitting down alone to focus and put it together.
I hear this often, what you just said about those stories that live in your heart, they don't ever go away. And it's one of two scenarios. You either give them a platform to be told,
Yes.
or they never get told.
Or someone else tells them.
And that's a whole other.
Yes.
They're both tragedies.
Yes.
Right? Because one is a story never being told is just tragic. Everyone's story, everyone's voice
Exactly.
is relevant, is valid, and deserves to be listened to and heard. When someone else takes your story, that's how history is written.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, history is written by the winners. And so stories get retold in a different light, in a different context. You said just now you've had these women or these stories in your heart. So is this a compilation of people that you've known?
Yes. Vicariously, I've known all of these women, and as I mentioned, there were a group of women when I was a teenager who took me under their wing. They were writers, producers, directors, dancers, artists. They were older than me, and how I found myself into this circle, I think I attended a poetry reading in Washington, D.C. I was at Howard University, and my first film job, I was a PA on a documentary about a wonderful jazz singer. And I just kind of latched on to them and took the teases and, and listened to their stories, because at that age, for some reason, I found older people fascinated because I felt like, well, they've been there. Let me just listen. And of course, the stories were colorful. We didn't have the internet then and the cell phones, so you weren't distracted. It was always about a good story. Yeah. But one thing I wanted to mention to follow with what you just said, something that's been playing in my head for some time now is, yes, we all have a story. And I genuinely like people and I want to hear those stories. So I've been running this thing in my head. Don't let your obituary be the only story that people know, and that's what maybe 200 words. Don't let that be the story that we remember, because you know how condensed that is. So I wanted to get this out before, I make my journey on to the wonderful world that awaits. But yeah, this was a labor of love about women who influenced me, who kept me close. And yeah, of course, I've done my little embellishments here and there. That's what a good cocktail will do for you. And these women, they love their cocktails. And yeah, and I say we because I was right there in the room with them. We just had a lot of fun putting this together.
I have several thoughts about how I responded to this. And you wrote it in here when Tina shows up.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was Mama Lo or Bertie who said, we are not gathering here for an emotional dump.
Yes.
There's a difference between that and what we actually do here. We speak the truth here.
Yes.
We support each other. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be truthful.
Yes.
And Felecia, the definition of truth, especially nowadays, is worth the challenge of defining it.
Yes.
And everyone's truth is different. Your truth is different. My truth is different. But there are universal truths that you touch on in this book. Can you give me some examples of that?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is that, excuse me, this story centers around a group of Black women who have gathered for their truth-telling stories, moments. But that is universal because women in particularly have these stories that they've held close to their chest. They have been uh, repressed, and this is their time to get these stories out. These women here, particularly, their truths are, despite of everything that they've gone through, again, they're still standing. They're proud, prideful. They have joy. Yes, they have had many moments of tears along the way. And I always go back to the wonderful Broadway show for colored girls, When the Rainbow Isn't Enough. One of my favorite lines, often you have to cry to keep from, you have to laugh to keep from crying. So that is what comes through, I think, in this piece. That's what I wanted to come through, with a lot of humor, because a lot of times things resonate more or listen to a little more carefully with laughter, with joy. The truths, in addition to that, the other truths that constantly come through is that we didn't get here by ourselves. And often, if not most of the time, it has been women that has helped get us here, that's kept us going. So I just wanted to share what they're talking about, and I'm chuckling to myself because I can't put enough emphasis on what cocktails will do for one. Yeah, this space is a safe space for these women. So when Tina comes and says what she says, and Mama Lo and Birdie and the other women come together, it's to remind her this is a safe space. And yes, you come, you tell your truth, you tell the whole damn truth. So, yeah, it's about creating safe spaces for ourselves and taking it from there.
Do you think creating that safe space has to start with you? Or can you be introduced to a safe space and over time you begin to trust it and understand what that feels like? Because if you don't know what that feels like, it's really hard to come from that.
Exactly. It's based on your frame of reference. As you mentioned, we all have different journeys, and you may not have always felt safe. You may have been always told to be quiet or not to talk or go sit over there, and which is something a lot of Black families kind of put out there. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. This is an adult conversation. So often your voice, kind of gets pushed in the back of your throat, and that's not to blame anyone in particularly, because you don't know where your parents, what their journey, or their grandparents. So yes, this is a space where you find that tribe, so to speak. A lot of times it's those friends that become closer than the family. And I think we all can relate to that.
Absolutely. It's been one of my mottos. That definition of family so often has nothing to do with the blood running through your veins.
Ooh, say that again.
Yes. I would love for you to indulge me as we go through woman by woman and just, description, where she came from for you. And I just extracted certain lines from each of them that really resonated with me. So again, this is from Aged to Perfection, Tales from the Grown Ass Women's Club, which I just adore that name.
Great.
Because I can't stand, what's that hashtag they have, adulting? I can't stand that word. But grown ass, I can resonate
Yes.
and be okay with that. So thank you for that. Let's start with Mama Lo. So she's the hostess.
Yes.
For this particular
Yes.
get together. And the line that I took was, she says, biggest lie ever told. I'm fine, my ass.
Mhm.
So I would love for you to read from the book. Um,
Okay.
we have page 32,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the middle of the page. It begins with Gwen sat up, swirling her glass. And I so enjoy these cocktails, can I just tell you, along with the women. The transition of the cocktails. And when
Uncle Melvin.
Uncle Melvin, God bless Uncle Melvin. So if you want to start with that
Okay.
to the cocktail, to the
Okay.
recipe, that would be fabulous.
Ooh. If I may just repeat that one line, that opening.
Gwen sat up,
Yes.
swirling her glass.
Yes. Gwen sat up, swirling her glass. You know what I hate most about I'm fine? It doesn't let nobody help you. You say it too many times and people stop asking. I say, hell to not being fine. Then something shifted. Bertie pulled Clarice close and said, I used to think silence was strength. Mama Lo shook her head. Silence is a recipe for ulcers and bad poetry. I thought if I was broke, I'd be useless, Zora Lee said softly. Dee Dee reached across the table and touched her hand. Baby, every masterpiece has cracks. That's how the light gets in. A moment passed, just breath and blinking and the quiet hum of women who know things now. Then Gwen, always the mood flipper, said, but y'all all aware I cussed out my chiropractor last week because he said my posture was defensive. You are defensive, Bertie said. I'm a black woman in America. I got a license for it. Bertie raised an eyebrow. Well, that explains half my last relationship. To not hiding anymore, said Dee Dee. Zora Lee whispered, to truth. Zora Lee shook her head. So what do we say instead? Mama Lo answered without missing a beat. Tell the truth, or at least tell the real lie. Say, I'm unraveling, but I'm still moisturized. Dee Dee snapped her fingers. Say, I cried in the car, but my lashes held. Bertie nodded. I'm blessed, but on probation. Zora Lee whispered, to truth. Gwen raised her glass. I'm holy, but don't test me. Zora Lee chuckled softly. They clinked glasses like a choir taking communion. And for a moment, just a moment, the room didn't need music. They were the harmony. Grown as haiku. Smile wide, shoulders tight. I'm fine, stitched into my spine. Sometimes I just get tired. I'd like to also just offer up a recipe, a cocktail recipe for I'm fine, my ass. And the ingredients are 2 ounces of bourbon for the pain you ignored, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth for the sweetness you gave everyone but yourself, a dash of bitters because life, an orange twist for style, not apologies. Instructions: pour over ice, sip slowly, cry if needed, cackle after, repeat with friends who call you by your whole damn name.
I think one of my favorite parts of that particular section, so Dee Dee says, to not hiding it anymore, to not hiding the truth anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And my first reaction was, well, if I don't hide it, what am I supposed to do then? And you, and she literally says, so what do we say instead? You know, it's like getting rid of a bad habit. You got to substitute it with something, because otherwise it's just this hole. And so your suggestions, I cried in the car, but my lashes held. I'm unraveling, but still moisturized. I'm blessed, but on probation. I'm holy, but don't test me.
Don't
They
test
were
me.
just, okay, I can tell the truth.
Mhm.
I can do that.
You know, it's back to being a grown-ass woman. We've earned the right to say whatever we want, the way we want it. And part of this book was to celebrate these voices and give them permission from ourselves to be authentic and say what matters to us, because again, we don't want someone else writing our stories that may not reflect really anything about us. So yeah, grown-ass women.
When you talk about the permission side of things, it absolutely starts with you. Because if it doesn't start, something I've learned, if it doesn't start with you, then that permission comes from the outside.
Exactly.
And you're either waiting around for it, or you never get it, or it changes on a dime. It's not,
especially today.
yeah, you
Yes.
can't count on it. There's nothing consistent, or there's nothing foundational about it. But giving yourself permission to live a life of your own truth, it takes time. You don't just, it's not like a light switch. And that's what I love about your story is the journey of how these women got to where they are is just that.
Yes.
There's just so much pressure that we put on ourselves.
So much pressure. And what I'm hoping that another aspect that I hope this book will serve, in addition to entertaining us women of a certain age and celebrating us, but that it might resonate with women coming up behind us, to let them know that they matter, that their voices count, that their stories and their journeys need to be shared and spoken about. So with humor, and if they need a little cocktail, I keep coming back to them to help them to tell that story, so be it. But find the older women who have already walked before them and, get beside them, listen to their stories, speak with them when you need an ear. I'm sure they have more than enough to tell you how to keep going with a smile on your face, with your head high. But at the same time, when you need to just sit down, do so. Because as my haiku says, we've been raised with "I'm fine" stitched in our spine. One line that I have here that I love is, we have to prepare for a funeral and a potluck in the same damn hour because we're fine. If we don't keep it together, who's going to hold up the pieces? That's what we've been, I don't want to say bred to believe, but that's pretty much conditioned.
Yeah.
And part of that's being a woman. I mean, we have the stronger empathy gene, I think, but we care, we do this, we're the nurturers. Yeah.
It's heavy. Birdie,
yes.
okay.
Oops.
Birdie, and it's okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote Birdie, Clarice the cane. So Birdie says, "Baby, this ain't just a cane. It's a Black woman's emergency kit, a crisis management system." Oh, my living word. Every woman needs Clarice.
Yes.
Now, just to clarify, Clarice is the name of her cane.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, there's a whole story behind Sister Clarice.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, that's the name of her cane.
Yes.
And the beauty of that cane, which we discover,
yes.
several glasses into the evening. This emergency kit, and I've talked about this with other women. Women walk around in a state of emergency. And this is a generational thing. Ain't nothing new about it. But we're always just kind of aware of our environment. And, it's a constant state of managed emergencies.
Yes.
Yes? Talk a little bit about
Clarice.
that.
And I often tell people Clarice is another character in the story because she does hold space, and she's very dear to Birdie, and all the women come to love and respect Clarice. And I won't go too much into her backstory, but with Birdie, along with Mama Lo, they're the older of the set, and they've seen some stuff. They've seen some stuff and have come through it. Sometimes with or without shoes and other undergarments, but they've come through some stuff. So, yes, having that emergency kit, no, we don't all have to walk around with a cane, but I think it's a wonderful thing if in our homes and our spaces, if there's just something in the space that we can look to that will remind us not only who we are, but we got this.
So something grounding.
Yes, yes. For some people, it may just be a plant. I'm like, my plants have names. I have amazing in one room, and I have beautiful in another room, and and I have a cane. It's a large rain stick that I love. That is Native American, and it's something about that keeps me grounded. But yes, just having items or something tangible just to remind us we can keep going. We're good. And once we walk out that door, we know that there's a world out there waiting to bring it on. And we've just got to be bigger, better, and stronger to keep going. And when we have those moments where we might falter, think back to whatever it is we have either in the home or something that someone has shared with us. A lot of times that's easier said than done because, again, in those emergency moments, things move really fast. But we've got to be grounded enough within to know we can keep going. And whether we're bobbing and weaving or, standing tall, standing straight, we're good. We're good. So that's, Clarice is there to just remind them all, no matter what, you're good. Sometimes Clarice gets raised as a sermon or a testimony, but sometimes she might get raised as a weapon. So
to make a point. As my mother got older, she had a cane, and she hated it. She hated using it.
Yes.
But at the same time, she used it well.
Yes.
Especially if we would go shopping, clothes shopping, she would point to something. She'd point something, she'd move clothes. I'm like, what are you? You just can't whip that thing out, Mom. You're going to hit someone. But it became an extension.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Of who she was at that moment. And it wasn't something that was, oh, poor me. It was an extension of her expression, herself, and a balance. There was a balance to it. Ironically enough, that's what
Yes, I mean, my grandmother was the same way. She did not want to use that cane. Even my mother now has to use it periodically, and I don't know if it's vanity, probably. But I'm like, when and if I get there where I need one, I'm going to use it. And I'm going to raise it like a drum major when I need to and point and direct. And yes, use it as that balance because I just think about how many didn't make it to where they needed a cane, who made their transition early. So I'm like, canes are fine. I'm going to bling mine out like Birdie. I'm going to have rhinestones and... Yes. Yeah, chimes on mine.
So we can hear you coming a mile away.
You can hear me coming.
Oh, my gosh. Dee Dee. It was interesting because Dee Dee was the one I resonated with the most. And I think it was because of her Educated AF sweatshirt.
Yes.
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 And you wrote her, or you write her as a Howard graduate, which you are.
Mhm.
So is Dee Dee the one that you relate to the most, or you just wanted to impart some of your own experience into her?
Yes, all of the above. I relate to all of them, but yes, I lived that experience with Dee Dee. I remember while I was at Howard, it was during a time, and I'm about to date myself, but it was when we were fighting for Martin Luther King's holiday to be recognized. And I attended several marches throughout the years while I was at Howard to get this holiday passed. So that resonates with me, of course, being on the quad at Howard University and playing bid whist, which anyone who went to Howard knows what I'm talking about. But yes, she was fun, and I had a friend whose name Dee Dee, so I pulled on her, and she read the book, and she was like, "Oh my God, are you talking about me?" I'm like, "Well, not quite," but she was one of my besties while I was there. But yeah, Dee Dee, as she said, I can march with the best of them, and I can play cards with the best of them. But yeah, Dee Dee was fun. Dee Dee was fun. She had the school pride, and she didn't let you forget it. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't let you forget it. Yeah.
One of my favorite lines, I actually wrote two of them. I wore hoop earrings with a purpose and lipstick that said, "Step back."
That's right.
Love that. And then this was wonderful. Black joy is resistance. Ain't nothing more revolutionary than laughing, playing, and refusing to let the world wear you down.
Mhm.
We've talked about that, the
Yes.
power of joy and
The
laughter.
power of joy and the power of Black excellence, which really represented Dee Dee. Because again, it's one of those situations where we had to make a way out of no way. And when it came to education, especially, well, I'll go back to Mama Lo and Bertie's time, the integration wasn't there, as well as the HBCUs, the historical Black college universities. They had to find funding for themselves, and there was a school pride there. Thank God that recognized and nurtured these students to come up and get educated, and a lot of them have gone on to excel across industry that have come through those schools. So I had to have Dee Dee there, and because there's so many of us out here, so many of us out here, and yeah, HBCU. HU. Yeah.
Gwen,
Mm-hmm.
she is the songbird of the group. Beautiful moments, by the way. Beautiful the way you wrote her moments and her story.
Yes.
Was really cinematic for me. It was very moody.
Yes.
Gwen was the most mood-driven character for me. And she writes, oh boy, ever had a moment where your body left the room but your voice stayed? And Mama Lo responds, child, I've had years like that. That triggered a whole lot of things for me.
Well, Gwen has come up in a world where it was about the band and the male musicians. And if they had a singer, often a female singer, she wasn't really given the respect that they held her there as a prop to bring in the audience, but oftentimes they really had a voice. And if you've gone to bars, a lot of times people are drinking and laughing out loud, and they never hear the singer. So Gwen had a song. The song has been in her heart forever, and she just never got that recognition. But it never stopped her from humming. But in between all of that, she sipped on her gin, and that may have caused a little rasp in her voice. But Gwen, that's all she's ever wanted to do was sing her song. And not to give too much away, but she was willing to sing it and be paid a bowl of gumbo. Whatever it took, she wanted to sing her song. Gwen is special because, in addition to be a singer, yes, she wants some attention and recognition, but she's the fly girl in the group. She's fabulous. And part of that is having that stage presence, being the artist in the group. But Gwen is they're all my favorites. Gwen is fun because she is stylish. She's, as she says at one point, I am the screen. I am the light. I'm here. So yeah, Gwen, she just wants to sing her song, and her song is her truth. So yeah.
And that image of leaving your voice behind. The body moves on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's, to me, it just harkened back to, you know, a lot of people's childhoods. Again, you brought this up earlier about, you know, you speak when you're spoken to.
Yes.
Yes. Or something happens, but nobody talks about it. Right. And we grow up and we move on, but that child's voice or that voices,
Mm-hmm.
they get left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until you reclaim that voice
Exactly.
or voices
Mm-hmm.
that you can really find your truth. Yes?
The truth will set you free. It will set you free. And it's something very liberating for these women as well when they tell these stories. And they have a lot of them. But again, because they're in a safe space amongst each other, they can tell it out loud, and tell it with all the attitude that they want. And yes, your voice, if it is everything. And sadly, so many of us, the older we get, for some of us, there's a fear of even sharing it because there's so much noise in the world. So there are those who question, do people even hear me? Do they see me? And I think that's
really
what comes back to me wanting to hear people's stories, because I want people to know I see you. And a lot of times that's all one wants, is to be recognized, to be acknowledged. So yeah. Voices.
Well, that's a beautiful segue into Zora Lee.
Mm-hmm.
She's the poet of the group. Yes, right? And I want to talk briefly too about how you wove in poetry and haikus into the story, which took me by surprise, but it was a pleasant surprise. So her quote that I really loved: I walk into a room and rearrange the air, not because I'm trying to, but because somewhere between my collarbone and my curls lives every woman who taught me how to own space like it's owed. Yes. And I had to, how to own space like it's owed. When you really understand that, it's really powerful.
Yes. You hear oftentimes people say, wow, she walked into the room and commanded the space. That's a place where I want all women to know and to feel. And sometimes it's coming in and taking a moment to just breathe. And in that breath, you pull in everything around you. But that takes time. And Zora Lee, again, this is a little bit of me here, because there was a time I was the youngest one in the room. And I found the women around me absolutely fascinating. Their stories, most of it was the way they told it, but the stories that they shared, and again, how they just navigated their different spaces, their world, and came through, again, prideful and heads high. As I mentioned earlier, I had a number of women that are were around me who were poets, writers, and I never felt that I was in the same class with them, and I still don't feel that. But I was able to hear the story, the music, the laughter, the joy, the pain in those poems. And I have just wanted to capture what I could. And a lot of it just kind of came to me as I was writing, and all these women and their stories. It just rushed because, again, I've been holding and carrying some of these for years. But Zora Lee is the one that is recording all of this for those that's coming behind her. And I'm so grateful to Zora Lee for coming through, because that's part of what I too hope to leave behind and impart on those coming behind me. Yeah,
Legacy.
everything.
Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's at the heart of telling any story, is there's a legacy to it.
Yes.
Once it's told, once it's written down, once it's shared, the legacy begins.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, for a long time, I didn't really think about legacy until I became a grown-ass woman. And, excuse me, now it's all I want to do is leave it, get it out there. As we started at the top of this conversation, I've had a very, very colorful journey. There's so much more that I want to get out there, and this particular story, Age to Perfection, is volume 1. There more to come.
There better be.
There more because we know there's just so many. We've all got a story, yes, and so. Legacy, I've had fun with this. I look forward to writing more. I have plans in addition to the writing that, hopefully will allow for other platforms. I hope to turn it into a stage production. So
that would be lovely. I didn't think about that.
Yes.
Because again, to me, it's so cinematic.
Yes.
The characters are so big.
Yeah.
You want to see that largeness on the big screen.
People have been sharing that with me, but right now,
I
want to see
theater,
this on the stage. Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's more intimate. It's a more intimate experience.
Exactly.
You feel like you're in the room with that circle.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I have to, before we wrap up, you inspired me to write my first grown-ass woman's haiku.
Ooh, wonderful.
So here we go. Blessed, dressed, and ready. Silence, shame, and the judgments, released and done now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I love that.
Thank you for the inspiration.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Where can people find the book?
Yes. You can find Age to Perfection, Tales from the Grown-Ass Women's Club on Amazon, Ingram Sparks, Google Play, and we're working hard as a self-promoter, self-marketer to get this in as many bookstores as possible.
Well, I'm honored to have you. I'm honored to have these ladies in the room here today with us.
Thank you.
And their stories. And again, Amazon,
Ingram, yes. Ingram Sparks, Google Play. Also, there is a Facebook page, Grown As Women's Club. I invite you to stop by, have a chat with us, tell us your truth, and have us cheer you on. Yes.
And have a cocktail or two.
And have a cocktail or two. Exactly.
Thank you, Felecia.
Thank you, Tammy.
Can't wait to do this again for volumes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining LA Off the Record with myself and author Felecia Howell. Just a reminder, Aged to Perfection can be found on Amazon. Tales from the Grown-Ass Women's Club. If you're looking for, it's not just a fun read, it's a very soulful, insightful read. into the sometimes complicated landscape of a woman's mind. Make sure and check it out. You can find me on Instagram at Tammy.Govea and on Facebook and Twitter at Tammy Govea. Did I say Twitter? I meant X. Thanks again for joining, and until we meet again.